Hi, my name's Sarah and I'm here to talk to you about emotions. And I'm always really interested when I talk to people about emotions because within my training I do a lot of work to release negative emotions. However, I always think it's so interesting how so many people have such a negative relationship with their emotions. So for example, they dread the idea of feeling fearful or sad. And I'd like to propose a different idea. So what would happen if we considered our emotions to be a map? So people often talk about the missing map of life, and wouldn't it have been nice if I had been born with a map? Well, I believe that we have been, and I think that all of our emotions, negative and positive, are in fact a map that allow us to steer the direction of our life in a way that is most appropriate for us. So what on earth do I mean by this? Well, quite often we may experience a lot of negative emotions because we repress them. So we store them up and we create a giant bucket full of emotion. And let's say we've got a giant sadness bucket. Now, obviously all emotions are energetic because they are created from the mind. And as a result, sadness has a certain vibration, as does happiness and joy, peace and calm. So if we have a very full sadness bucket, then it's quite likely we're going to do one of two things, or both. Firstly, it's likely we're going to attract a lot of other people who are sad. Secondly, it's likely that we will attract sad events into our world. Now, that's just one example. However, if we look at it from a different perspective and we say, okay, so I will acknowledge that I may well have repressed emotions and it would be useful if I quite literally vacuum those out. So rather than holding on to them or ignoring them because I'm perhaps scared of looking inside, or it feels like it's going to be huge if I look at those emotions, rather than doing that, if I actually use some kind of process, and there are so many techniques out there for emotional release. I mean, there's EFT, there's kinesiology, there is yoga. I happen to specialize in timeline therapy, which is effectively time travel in the mind, or it's a hypnotic technique. So once we've actually released our emotions, what that means is that the bucket is empty. So for example, we aren't walking around with 20 years of sadness or guilt or peace or joy. What we're doing is we're feeling emotionally free, so that actually when we have an emotion, we feel it in the present moment and we can be conscious of it. Now, when we get to that stage, our emotions are like a compass, because every time that we feel really, really happy, it's a great way for us to identify that we're doing something that's really appropriate for us, because even though so many of us search for purpose in our lives, actually the joyful present moment, is there anything really bigger than that? Whether we feel it at work or at home or within romantic relationships. So if we clear our emotions and we clear out the backlog of emotions, imagine it to be like the archive of emotions. Once we've deleted that, and we've deleted it from our hard drive, and we've deleted it from any backups that we used to have, and we're clear, and we experience our emotions in the now, what it actually allows us to do is use those emotions as a compass. And when we feel sadness, we can ask ourselves, okay, what is creating sadness for me here? And is it something that I'd like to work on? Or is it just an indicator that I'm doing something that's a bit inappropriate for me, or perhaps I'm with people who are inappropriate for my energy field? And perhaps it's more appropriate for me to find a new group of people who are working with me in a more productive way. So we can start to look at our emotions as a real gift, just as we can at everything in life. And the more we organize our thoughts and find an equilibrium, it allows us to get to a place where we can trust our emotions, that we can feel them in the now. And even though we have been trained throughout our life to listen to what people say and to think logically, goodness sake, don't bring your feelings into this. Actually, I'm proposing that we very much bring our feelings into it, and from a balanced left and right brain hemisphere, we can apply logic and use our feelings as a resource. So as far as I'm concerned, our emotions are a gift, and if we clear out our archives so that we aren't carrying an emotional data supply that's 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, actually our emotions in the now can really serve us. What's more, it can create or move us, steer us in a direction that creates joy on a daily basis for us, because you know what? It feels good, and that's what we're here for. So my name is Sarah. If you'd like any more information about NLP practitioner or timeline therapy training, please click the link below, and I hope to meet you soon. Thanks very much.